Hey everybody, welcome back to the KPI Podcast. We have a special guest with us today. We've never had the privilege of having an actual published author join us as a guest today, so I'm really excited for the gentleman that we have joining us today. Jim Iyoob is a 35-year vet of contact centers. He's currently the Chief Customer Officer at eTech, if I got that right. Multiple awards in the CX space. And as I mentioned, a 4-time published author with some of his books really around AI in the contact center. So we're really excited to really have an authority on the subject joining us today. Before we get into what we're going to be talking about, please, Jim, take a moment, introduce yourself, and fill any gaps that I missed.
Yeah, sure.
Part of your introduction.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about this. I'm really a believer in educating others. I started my career as an agent, 30-some years ago. I've been with my boss for 33 years. I've only had technically 2 jobs working for him. So I'm very passionate about transformation from where we used to be, where we are today, and where we're going in the future. And since I lived a lot of these things, I think the unbiased information I'll be able to teach your listeners today will be very valuable for them as they get on this approach.
At the risk of making this a little uncomfortable, you've been doing this job almost as long as I've been alive. So I'm excited to learn from you, Jim. I'm sure I'm going to learn some stuff from you today. So what we're going to be talking about is AI analytics that you should be paying attention to. And we're going to really focus it around the contact center. When we first kind of set this up and we were kind of talking about potential subjects, you kind of were like, yes, definitely, let's talk about that. I don't want to assume that, why you picked this, but please kind of maybe dive into why you want to talk about the analytics around AI and kind of use that as a foundation for us moving forward in our conversation today.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting because I think there's a lot of people out there that are unbelievable salespeople. They sell you this, I'll call it a theory, that's going to replace all your people. That's what the first company came to me. I'm going to replace all your QAs. That's a lie. It's a myth. You're not going to need people. That's a lie. This thing, set it and forget it. That's a lie. So because I vetted out company after company, after company, after company, who all made these false promises, I learned so much about the technology and really what the industry is missing when they're trying to present it to actually fix problems.
It's interesting because I think AI is such a black box that is like a buzzword. Back during COVID, work from home, collaboration tools, that was the hot topic. And now it's AI, and rightfully so. But most folks don't even know what AI stands for, let alone how to apply it or how to understand whether it's actually moving the needle on your business. How long have you been looking at AI vendors?
I would say at least 10, 15 years in my career and you're right, this AI, you know why people are looking at it? Because their boss is saying, hey, listen, I'm hearing about AI. We need AI. They don't really know what it means. So everybody's using that in their marketing. And really, if you think about it, I go back to before you were born. It's no different than big data. That's all this is big data. The really thing you need to look at, what works in AI, is the old days people would listen to calls, take some notes. Hopefully they'll catch a pattern, maybe using some type of algorithm or an Excel formula to look for trending, right? So what AI is doing now, by using large, vast amounts of data, you're analyzing the entire interaction and you're able to actually get, I call it next best action. Because any technology company will tell you who, what, why, where, when something happened. And that's what they sell me. And I'm like, okay, so now what? Well, now you give it to your leaders and go fix it. Well, what if they don't know how? Well, they should. Well, if they knew what they were doing, I wouldn't need your software to tell me what they're not doing, right? So that's really where I came to this model of it's really about the next best action. And to put it in perspective with an example. So let's talk about billing confusion. People call all the time, hey, I'm confused about my bill, right? Okay, good. 82% of my customers tell me there's a problem in the confusion in the bill. Yes. Isn't that great information? No. Really, what you'd be telling me is you should offer a detailed review on the phone with the agent. You should walk them through it, and you should actually follow up with an email, right? So the result of what you're looking for in AI is for the agent to know exactly what they need to do next so that they do it better. And that's really what people are missing in this whole flooded marketplace of AI. I'm going to replace everybody.
Going back to our theme for our conversation today around like an analytics or some type of data point to measure.
Sure.
How do you measure the effectiveness of a next best step or next action item?
That's a great question. That's the stuff I'm really excited about, right? So if you think about conversational intelligence, everybody talks about, hey, we've got this unbelievable conversational intelligence. Really what you should be looking at is the score of the conversational intelligence, which is actually measuring how well that interaction actually resolves the issue versus pointing out the issue. The other thing you can do with it is you can actually use it, like the things that we're looking at, predictive churn indicators, right? So how can I spot an at-risk customer before they leave? Because, by the way, I know that after they leave, I got to win them back. Well, how about let's look in the front end? Like if the customer's saying, this is frustrating, I hate this, and using that dialogue, that's a prediction of they may hang up and leave. The other one I really look at for measurement is an agent skill gap, right?
Okay.
In almost real time or real time. See, what's working for your best of your best employees? What are they doing so great that they can manage, resolve these issues in, let's just say, 5 minutes for sake of argument, right? What are those top performers doing? How do I measure that against the rest of the team and get strategic behavior coaching to those lower performers so that they can actually fill those gaps that they're missing? And then also look at this other one called resolution pathway analysis. So what that's going to do for you is it's going to map the fastest route to solve that problem. And again, it's kind of taken a little bit from the one I just mentioned to you. So what you're looking at, because a lot of times people will tell you, here's what you need to do. Here's the process, boom, boom, boom. Well, when you analyze all the interactions, here's the interesting part we find. Some of our best agents aren't following the process. They've actually created their own that's better than what your training team told us. So I'm looking at what is the best based on the conversations. And then the last thing I would tell you is that the customer sentiment. People talk about NPS scores. Matter of fact, before I got on this podcast, somebody sent me a survey. After I went through 13 pages, I said, I'm done. I'm exiting. NPS doesn't work. You know why? There's 3 reasons you fill out a survey. 1, you pissed me off so much that I'm upset and I want to complain. 2, you went above and beyond, which is impossible on every interaction. Or 3, in this one that sent me, they were going to give me a $50 gift card.
Yeah.
And that $50 was not worth my time going through this thing, right? So when I talk about customer sentiment, right, and NPS, like if you took all of the interactions, you can literally use AI to tell me, was that a promoter? Was it a detractor? Or what? I can't really tell because of the conversation, you drop it into neutral. You're going to get a voice of customer analysis based on 100% of your interactions versus the 4 to 14% based on the survey responses. Does that help?
A little bit, but I'm gonna push back on.
Yeah.
In my mind, those items are all a little bit subjective. There's no like objective, hard and fast, I guess, data point to put a numerical value on to go, AI helped us move the needle from this to this. So can we dive into like what's a data point that we can use to measure AI's effectiveness?
So there's a ton of data points. One of my customers saved $2.6 million in 6 months. Another one, $500,000 in incremental revenue in 90 days. Here's what we focus the AI on. What does it do? Personalized coaching based on what the actual performance of the call was, right? So what that allows you to do in the contact center is you have a faster ramp time. So you can hire better agents that become more productive in weeks, not months, which is a real cost. Higher throughput. When agents are actually trained properly, right, they can handle more calls, better outcomes. And then, of course, the one that everybody misses, which I'm a people person, agent satisfaction. So the agents are more satisfied because now you're helping them improve their skills based on the skills that they need. So
Which
remember,
leads to less attrition, which leads to
correct.
less overhead, which kind of has downstream benefits in of
Well,
itself.
when you think about it, I started my career as an agent. And I used to remember this. People would call you into these training lessons. Oh, you got to go into training. Why? Well, we need to get more sales. Well, first of all, it's not specific enough. But anyway, my sales are higher than everybody else. But what happens is you're doing generic flavor of the month training. With AI, you can actually zero in specifically to the agent's skill that they need training on. So now when I pull Greg in for a training session, I'm going, hey, Greg, listen, you're doing a lot of good things. But you know what I noticed? You're only effective 22% of the time attempting to save my customer. I'm not telling you to save them. I'm asking you to attempt to save them. And you're only doing it 22% of the time. And the difference with this measurements is now that tells you and me, Greg, it wasn't one call. It wasn't two calls. It was 850 calls where you didn't even try to save. So now I know specifically you need some help with the attempting to save. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I like that you kind of talk about agent attrition because that's something that I think contact centers are historically plagued with as a very high turnover. So talk to me a little bit about how, I'm going to change gears a little bit. If I'm an agent and I'm like hearing all these headlines about AI is going to replace my job but now I have my boss saying, hey, we're going to use AI to coach you. How do I kind of like, I guess, gain some internal acceptance to this idea that AI is here to help me as opposed to hurt me?
Yeah, I struggled for that for a year over at eTech, right? So to answer your question, everybody thinks I was going to replace their jobs, right? Number one, I believe in a philosophy that AI will help you do your job better. It will augment what you're doing. So
Yeah.
will some jobs be removed? Yeah. Password reset's an example, right? Nobody should be calling a call center to reset your password. It should be all 100% automated. Now, what that does when you actually teach the people where the vision is going, when you lose small, low-hanging fruit, it allows you to create a super agent because now the agent can do more and they can be skilled to do more. And then when you're skilling them higher, it's a career trajectory. To give you an example, my senior director of insights that does all my analytics, 10 years ago, he was an agent. Today, he's running a 500-person organization on analytics. So there's like the perfect example. And I think people are missing that career trajectory versus, hey, I'm gonna get to the bottom line. What we're seeing is more customers are giving us more complex work as we're automating some of the low-hanging fruit for them because they're trusting us to say, hey, wait a minute, you saved me some money over here. Wait a minute, can you do this? And that's what we're seeing there. In order to sell it, you need to tell your agents it's 100% complete visibility, right? We have no blind spots anymore. I'm going to show you everything. You also get to give them the instant feedback. So if you go talk to an agent, hey, when's the last time you were coached? Oh, last week. And what was the call from? Probably a month ago. I don't remember taking that call. So what AI does is allows you to do coaching opportunities in almost real time. Hey, you just had this call. You listen to it. Here's some opportunities. And then, of course, you can actually do I call it trending. So you can catch issues before they explode. So I'll give you a live example. We had over 400 calls in queue for one of our customers. And of course, what happens? IT gets involved. Open up a bridge. Let's go. Everybody's on the call. What do you think's going on? I went into my AI systems and said, oh, crap, there's a website down. Because I listened to the calls within 2 minutes. I was able to see people were saying, hey, I'm on your website, not able to do this. We actually got it back to our customer. They fixed the website in about 5 minutes while IT was still on the call, troubleshooting everything that could possibly happen, why you have this many calls in queue. And then the last but the most important part is removing bias.
Yeah.
You're giving them consistent, objective evaluation criteria. So gone are the days, well, that's just the way Greg is, right? No,
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things that hit home because a lot of the calibration sessions we would do, you'd be listening to this horrific call. And the coach is like, yeah, but no, that's just his attitude. That's the way he is. He's really a good person. Yeah. Well, guess what? The person they're talking to doesn't know any of this backdrop. hey, their dog got run over by a car. I don't really care. He's being terrible and rude to my customer, right? So that's really that objective stuff. And as far as the ROI, when you're looking at this data holistically, we're seeing our customers see 40 to 50% improvement in not just the quality scores, but they're also seeing the opportunity on return on investment. Attrition is expensive. To give you some numbers, eTechs, we don't measure attrition because attrition is a negative, Greg. I'm a positive guy. We actually measure retention. So our retention rate is 92% globally. Flip it upside down. That's an 8% attrition rate. Unheard of in the contact center industry.
Yeah.
Because we are transparent with our people, we're listening to all the interactions, and we're giving them feedback in real time.
So a couple things I want to unpack there. First one, you kind of alluded to some career progression. I've heard this kind of in various forms over the past couple of years, but it's if your job is only performed based on the job description that you have, like so software is going to automate you, or if you don't learn AI, you're going to be replaced by AI one day. And so you mentioned like that career progression of that agent who's now running the data team. Like from an agent's perspective, this might be an opportunity for you to substantially upskill yourself and grow within the organization by taking point on understanding how to use AI to improve a certain process, right? Or
100%.
like, raise your hand and say, hey, here's how AI is helping me. Can I teach some folks on how to better use this next best action item or this coaching tip that I'm getting? So I love that. And then the bias and subjectivity piece, I think, is just so powerful. We lean into that a lot here at Abstract because, like, ultimately, LLMs are zeros and ones. Like, they don't have bad days. They didn't get a bad night's sleep. They didn't forget their cup of coffee. Like, they didn't get in a fight with their significant other the night before. Like, it's black and white. And so I think that for folks who understand that and are okay with maybe the hard truth of like, ooh, I actually am doing kind of shittier this week than I did last week. Like, it's a good opportunity to just get real feedback without being concerned about which QA person is reviewing your calls for that day.
That's fair, but on the flip side of that, I'll be the counterpart to that. I agree 100% what you said. But what we're seeing now, so now they're talking about hallucinations.
Yeah.
It was a machine, right? So it could have been wrong. And to your point, it's ones and zeros. So that's why you have the large language models. We're actually developed our own narrow language models, which is really focused on 1 billion conversations, specifically in the contact center industry. So mine wasn't, our machines were not taught by Newsweek or YouTube videos or generic information, because that's where a lot of hallucinations happen. And then when you teach that to the people and you explain to them how these machines work, and by the way, machines make mistakes too, so do people, but machines make less. But it's really about tuning it, right? How to get that insights out of it. And I will tell you, it's pretty funny because people do fear that they're going to lose their job. And I tell people this, hey, listen, we're paying you to come in and work 8 hours a day. If you use AI, you can get your job done in 6. You know what? I don't really care what you do for the rest 2 hours because it's the same productivity. And when you talk about work-life balance with people like that, they'll actually embrace it. And we, believe it or not, I actually have about 10 trainers in my organization that actually train how to use the Claudes, Anthropics, ChatGPT, Gemini, all these engines, how to actually make your job easier. You can analyze data. And when you think about a coach, we don't call people supervisors at eTech. Everybody's a coach because everybody needs a coach. Our coaches were never hired to be a data person. They were hired for what? Build relationships and coach. That's relationship building. Never told them to be a data scientist, data analyst. So that's why I go back to these softwares. They throw you these dashboards with data. Most of these people don't have that analysis. So that's why I go to that next best action. So how can I use AI as a coach to handle that? So what we've trained recently, we send out all the data. And we showed our coaches, pop this into Claude and say, tell me who I should coach with this. It could be like 10,000 lines of data. And the system will actually go in and say, hey, here's the 4 people you should focus on. This is really what they need help with. And by the way, this is how you do it. I mean, that's really the benefit of embracing the AI versus being afraid of it.
Yeah, well, Jim, we're coming up on time here. I really do appreciate it. I mean, it's evident that you know what you're talking about, and you've spent, the better part of your life in this industry and really focused on AI. It's interesting you mentioned, 10 to 15 years. Most folks think AI and they think the past like 3 to 5. But the reality is it's been, a thing a lot longer than that. It just maybe hasn't been available to the mass market in a way that it is today. So I guess I really do appreciate the time today. One thing, we're going to ask you one question as we wrap up today, Jim. If there was one thing as a contact center leader I should do to improve my use of AI to increase some type of results, what would it be, the one thing I should do today?
So what I would say to wrap it all up is, here's the challenge I would give all your listeners today. Stop waiting for the perfect AI solution or the perfect moment to start. Most companies that are winning in the contact center issues right now, they're actually taking risks. They're not just playing with shiny new tools. They're the ones that started small. I always tell people, crawl, walk, run. Yeah. Right? Pick one pain point that's keeping you up at night. That's what we say. Or one pain point that's frustrating your agents. And really, every single day, you can go in and keep adding to that. These people that say, I'm going to solve all your problems, don't go that route. Pick 1, 2, 3 things that you can work on. And then that's what I would do. The question isn't whether you're going to adopt AI. It's whether you're learning to adapt now instead of trying to catch up later. So start a pilot next week. Measure the data that you want to fix and join the conversation. Hopefully that helps you. For your listeners, if you go to Amazon and you have Amazon Prime, you can get a copy of my latest book free of charge. It's out there, AI in the Contact Centers. It's a great how-to approach. I'm not trying to sell books. It's really to educate people and people like your listeners who are looking for the careers. You can learn a lot of things from that as well.
I appreciate that. I love what you said and talked about, right? Like, start now, because if you don't start now, you're going to get left behind. And I think so many folks are sitting on the sidelines, kind of waiting to see what happens, and they're going to end up getting passed by their competition. Their employees are not going to want to stick around because the company is not progressing. And so, get going. So, Jim, really appreciate the time today. This has been awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and all your experience with our listeners. Enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure.